Hey, hey! I hope that everything is good. Everybody hear me okay? Hey, sweet tea. It's like so good to see you. My nephew was helping me with a couple things with my laptop, so give me 1 second here. I'm still getting situated. Bluetooth on, AirPod red, connect. Very cool. We're good to go. Can everybody hear me okay? Or am I not situated right? My nephew is a genius, by the way. Absolute genius. Thing is good. My nephew is a genius, by the way. Yep. Double said it. Said it twice. Okay, good. Good, good, good. Lefty Not Right is in the building. Lefty Not Right. Okay, good deal. Okay, I sent links to people, but I'm gonna go ahead. I'm still kind of rushing around getting ready. I'm gonna drop a link in the chat for anybody that would like to come up so we could talk today about some stuff. Okay, here's a link. If somebody's never been on panel before, somebody I don't know, I want to avoid being porn bombed because I hear that the porn bomber is going around. We do not want that to happen. So, yeah, I wanna try to nip that in the bud and avoid that. But I want to have a conversation. There's some stuff going on in the true crime community, which is where I came from, where I've been lurking, not lurking for quite a while now. And one of those things, I think I'd like to have an open conversation with people to get some opinions. So let me first say, hey, bees knees. Thank you for being here. Bees knees, flip flop. Good to see you. Lisa Levesque, good evening to you too. Day's getting a lot better, thank you. I had a migraine all day yesterday. Let's see. And then we have Sweet Tea, beautiful Sweet Tea, one of the kindest people in the whole world. So thanks, Sweet Tea. And then Emergency Me, again, one of the best people I've ever met on the internet. So thanks for being here. Appreciate you. Blushing Blue Eyes. She's like an angel in disguise. Ceresia, thanks for being here, Ceresia. Good to see you too. Cheesecake Mafia, I want you to know. Yesterday I had migraine, and even earlier today I had a migraine headache. I got to get to the doctor here before long, but I got your email, and about an hour ago I started reading it, and then I jumped in the Discord. So, but I'm gonna reply back to you tonight, and I'm so thankful that you emailed me. I want you to know I got it, I read it, and I have a part of a reply already handwritten down. So thank you for that. Lefty right, not right, lefty not right. Stuck in the dorm. We with you, man. We with you. Poppy the Good Troll, good to see you. Thanks for stopping in. Yes, Recia says smash that thumbs up. Thanks for being here. I know we were talking in Discord a little bit ago. Cheesecake Mafia. I sent YouTube Dumpster Firefighter a message also. Emergency Me. I got you, Ceresia. In and out. That's good. As long as you're here and contributing. I'm gonna pop this in the link one more time and then pin it to the top. I don't think I can pin it. Shoot, it says black user. I'm the user. Cheesecake Mafia, I'm so glad. I know I feel the same way. When I sit down and I write something out and I'm journaling it, it's like dumping so much. It's like dumping so much of that, of the emotional burden that becomes physical. And I'm a firm believer in journaling. Journaling has been amazing. And sometimes, whether it's to somebody or it's not to somebody, it's always good to journal. I'm a huge advocate of journaling. And I've told people before, if it helps to know that somebody emailed or that somebody has read it, you can always send me what you want. I will read it and I will reply. Absolutely will. It might take me a day or two. The migraines are just, they come on without warning and they last as long as they want. So, Lisa Levesque, I will look for yours. I will definitely look for that and I will get you back to you. So, thank you very much. I enjoy the emails. I enjoy learning about people. I really enjoy hearing about, what other people have going on in their journeys. And I get a lot from you too. I know, I get emails and I love hearing that I've said something that's helped you or that's motivated you or something that you can, that resonates with you, something that you can relate to. I love hearing that. But I want you to know I get something from you as well. I get encouragement. I get motivated. I feel like there's sometimes that I feel like maybe I'm not ready, for a platform or for, publicly being open and honest about things. And sometimes it's not honest, like being dishonest is like the way to go, but honest about things that are, super vulnerable, things that people can later throw back at you. But to me, that's just a small potential. Um, it helps me to share. It helps me to get things out. It helps me to talk about things that have been painful. So you help me every bit as much as I help you, and I just hope that I can continue to help somebody or to motivate somebody, make you feel normal, to encourage you, to get out of your comfort zone a little bit. And I love to do it. Take care of yourself first. You're good. I'm definitely doing that. I have family with me, some medical stuff coming up, so I'm being pretty careful. I'm not overdoing it or anything like that. But before too long, I'm sure there'll be a couple of weeks or so that I won't be able to do any live streams. So that's when all those extra emails are going to come in handy. So, but thank you so very much for emailing and sharing, and I think the world of everybody who takes the time to do that because I know how hard it is. I know 100% how hard it is. Pin message. Look, y'all, I pinned my first message. I figured it out. Um, so for anybody that wants to join me on panel, absolutely more than welcome to. Um, Anybody have any questions or anything before we kind of get going on anything? The quote. That quote is fantastic. Which one? The quid pro quo? Um, I love it too. I don't know for sure which one. I'm not sure which one, but I love having bees knees here. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to show you a little video. Open, see if I can open up another. Pop it in there. Nope, it's gonna let me. Bear with me for just 1 second here. I was in the process of getting all this stuff ready. Hmm. Oh, ching, it worked. Okay. Okay. Sorry about this, guys. I didn't have time to get this part ready. So I'm doing that really quickly. Then I got some stuff to show you. Um, here's another one. And sorry about this. What about fulfillment in the ocean? Oh, yes, that one, the thumbnail. Thank you. I like that too. I have tons of these quotes saved and stuff like that. I have a ton of them saved sitting around. Okay. Which one is it? I'm so sorry that I didn't have these ready. I was kind of foo-farting around a little bit. This is totally last minute. And they say the last minute ones are the best ones. Let's see. I hope everybody's doing okay. I've been watching about how crazy our weather is fixing to be all over the place. Okay, there we go. Come back this way. Okay. Hey, Nani. Good to see you. Thanks for stopping in. Yeah, the fulfillment ocean. I love that quote. I should send a bunch of them too. I constantly save them. I download them and I put them all in one folder. I love motivational quotes. But so what I wanted to talk about today. Oh, emergency me's here. Let's go ahead and bring her on.
Hello, my
Hello,
love.
how are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Cheesecake, say people.
Cheesecake, save people. How's your day been?
It's been okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm back to work, but I'm just doing like half days right now.
Yeah.
So I'm good.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. And for everybody, the pin to the top of the comments, I did my first pin today. I feel like I accomplished something. Is the link to the panel, and it's open panel. Anybody's welcome to join. Um, what I wanted to talk about and maybe give perspective to is the varying videos and opinions on the after the Kylie Rodney after Kylie Rodney was found, the videos and things like that that have been made. Um, I'd like to have an open conversation about that. I'm going to share um, my own personal experience to maybe give perspective as to why we feel a little differently sometimes. There's other people that just feel a little differently about the video that Adventures with Purpose put out and the timing and the details and that of it. So that's kind of what I want to talk about. I'm going to turn my camera off for 1 minute. Allergies are just, woo. So go ahead and start us out, emergency me. I'm going to mute for a minute and blow my nose.
Okay, so here is a general perspective from my side of it. And I kind of said this in Discord, and I've stayed very narrowly focused with the Kylie case. I didn't get into any of the hoopla of anything. The Kylie's case was very close to home for me, so I kind of stayed in my own lane for it. And so I didn't go to all of these channels and everything else. Hey, Nana. I didn't go to any of these channels. I didn't get into any of the conspiracy theories. I didn't didn't do any of that stuff. But also, Vilomah really helped in that too, because after sitting here and listening to her from her perspective as a parent who's lost a child, it put like a really big focus for me on just learning how to, again, just stay very focused on Kylie and her parents. And that's something that cynically, as a clinical mind, as a nurse, I've I've got to say I've kind of gotten away from that in my years of being a nurse. And after speaking with Vilomah and everything else, it's just she kind of reinstated that need of doing it again. You know, not that I got away from it, but just putting that emphasis back in my heart again and making sure that I'm doing the right thing of how to treat family the right way on it, and not just be so cynical on like moving on to the next patient, or moving on to the next case, or just moving on, and making sure that that aftercare for the families and aftercare for our, not just the patient, but the family of it is good. um, and being very, very focused on them, the patient and the family, and just being very focused. So with Kylie, I just did not want to go into the case of it. I just wanted to stay very focused on Kylie and very focused on her family, and just stay very hyper focused on them, and just do that part of it for myself. So I did, and I didn't go anywhere else. And so it wasn't until after Adventures with a Purpose came out with anything that I kind of even listened to their kind of part of the speculation to it, and I I still just won't let my mind go anywhere, you know. So it was Vilomah that really put that into me, you know, refocusing, just like reinstilling, like allowing these parents to be Vilomahs, and allowing them to mourn the loss of their child, and giving them that time, that space, and that energy to be again, and relearn their life. And they're not in that life yet. They don't even know where they're at right now. And Vilomah said it very eloquently in Discord.
Yeah.
They don't even have her. They don't even have her yet. They don't have her. They don't have. They don't even know what stage of any grief they're in. They're nowhere near acceptance. They're nowhere near anything. And this coming out, this being in their face, they don't know, anything. And I can't even fathom that. So, hi, Nini. Hi,
Yeah.
everybody. I can't, I'm very angry about it personally, that a search and rescue team would put something out in front of a family, would put something out in front of law enforcement that has speculation in it, that has theories, that has anything to it, when that's not their scope. When they say it's not their scope, when they say it's their purpose is to find the vehicle, and the where, not the what, not the how, not the why, not the nothing. It's the where, and they walk away. Nothing else is their purpose. Their purpose is the where. And they've deviated from their purpose, and they've instill themselves into an investigation, and that's not their job at all.
Yep, I agree. I totally agree. I want to start off by saying that I have the utmost respect for what they do. Adventures with Purpose, what for what they do. They really do take on something that nobody else takes on. I mean, law enforcement has, they're tasked with investigating missing people and all other types of crime and violence and things like that. What Adventures with Purpose is doing is absolutely God's work, in my opinion. I don't know the amount of courage that it takes to put on a suit and dive underwater looking for lost loved ones. I can't imagine, and I'm not going to pretend like I have any idea what that is like. And I have I have absolute nothing but respect for them. But that said, I also I feel like I feel like there's been boundaries that have been crossed, and I feel like when it comes to grieving parents, if nothing else, I'm not here to critique them, but I want them to hear from the grief community. I want them and I want, content creators that are making videos about this one after another. I want them to hear what it's like from a person who is the parent and, their child's potential death. Well, it starts with, she's missing and then it goes to she's been found and it's worst case scenario. I want them to hear um, personal account of how that could feel. Now, their tragedy is nothing like my tragedy or like anyone else's tragedy. They're all completely different. They're all separate. Um, but I've sat and I've watched quite a bit over the last couple of weeks, and there's some content creators that I think have done a very good job with putting the information out there, and they've kept her face out there. And now we're crossing a line into disrespect and the monetization. We're marketing. We're I feel like we're crossing a line. And I'm not here to say what's right or what's wrong. I'm not here to say if it's right or if it's wrong. I'm only here to say, could you please see what you're doing and what you're responding to from a different perspective? That's my whole goal for tonight. It's not to critique anybody or to say what's right or what's wrong. It's to say we are in your chats. Those of us who have lost children to murder, to um, suicide, to um, you name it, accidents, to sickness and illness. We've lost our children from so many different ways, but we're in your chats. We're watching your content. We're listening to your words. We're reading the chat, and we may not speak up. Most of the Vilomas that are in this community haven't spoke up. They're still lurking and they're sitting in silence. And your actions, whether you intend for them to have an effect or not, are going to have an effect. Sometimes it's positive and they feel welcoming, and then right behind it will come a slap in the face. And so that's what I want to talk about tonight. And I want to use the content, some of the things over the last couple of days that have shown me that until somebody takes the step or the initiative to say, please hear your own words or think about what you're saying and how you're saying it, and maybe next time do better. Maybe apologize and maybe think about it the next time. Nobody is saying don't cover cases. I'm just saying, can you please cover cases as if the person's parents or siblings or grandparents or maybe their daughter or their son are in your chat listening to what you're saying? Because if they're not, someone who's just like them is. There are people grieving that are in your chats, that are reading your chats, they're listening to everything that you say. And For that reason, I felt like I wanted to say I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to have an open conversation to hopefully encourage people to think a little better, or and from a different, from a different mind, before they, before they go live and they rip these cases apart. For instance, the video, the Adventures with Purpose video.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not here to say that Adventures with Purpose doesn't deserve, um, to be put on a platform right now. I mean, just be real about it. They found her, and yeah, if they wouldn't have shown up and they wouldn't have done, used their talents and done what they've done, we don't know that Kylie would have been found by now or not. We don't know. Chances are not, because from everything I've read and seen, law enforcement was kind of, saying that that area had already been checked. So thank the Lord above that Adventures with Purpose showed up and, used their equipment and their talents, and they found her.
Very
I'm
true.
I'm really happy about that. But the video being put behind a paywall, the video behind a paywall is what got me. Um, I'm the person who, I saw the video, and at the point that the video got to the car underwater, I stopped watching the video. I turned it off. Hey, Kit Wrench, thanks for being here. I'm glad that you stopped in. Bees says, I think what we have here is one of the most beautiful and most effective uses of this platform. Balm to the weary soul. Thank you, Bees Knees. I appreciate that so much. That's my goal, is just to give perspective, because there are so many of us that are here. There are so many of us that never speak. We never speak about our children or our grief. We keep the perfected smile, and, we don't want to feel like we don't matter or our children don't matter. So that's kind of what motivated me tonight. Um, at the part of the video where it got to underwater and Kylie's car, I feel like that was so inappropriate. But I feel like it's not something that a lot of people are going to think of in the way that I want to talk about it, unless they've lost a child, from an accident or, a similar type of situation. So, first thing I want to do, I'm not, let me say this, I'm not making this about me or my son at all. This is about Kylie. This is Kylie's story. This is Kylie's family story. And Kylie and her family deserve so much love and compassion and understanding right now. The only reason I'm even bringing Cody up and his a portion of his death story is because that's the only thing that I can compare it to. And I'm not comparing it like apples and oranges. There's no comparison. My and Cody and our relationship and our life and his death is absolutely nothing even close to Kylie's parents and Kylie and her life, and unfortunately her death. There's no comparison. What I'm comparing would be in the moment when Cody was passing and the days after that. There are some comparisons, and I want people to maybe see from this perspective. So, when Cody passed away, August 12th, 2016, um, he was riding dirt bikes all day with his best friend and a handful of other friends on a track that he had built. So to say that he knew it inside and out would be an understatement. To say that he knew dirt bikes inside and out would be an understatement. The kid lived on a dirt bike. So if someone would have ever told me that there was even a remote chance that he was going to die on a dirt bike, on a track that he built on his own property, I would have said that they were completely crazy. There's no way that that would ever happen. but it did happen. So Cody and his friends rode all day on this, just a practice day. And I had called him early evening to ask him if he was going to come home or if he was going to stay longer or stay overnight. And he answered the phone and we talked for a few minutes. And his best friend had gotten in his truck and had went up behind. There's a driveway that kind of went uphill and behind a barn. And so he was going to load some firewood. And Cody and I were on the phone talking. He told me he was going to stay there, that if he came home, it was going to be really late. I had plans to take him. I don't want to say too much. He was going to be leaving the next day for a couple of weeks, and so I had packed a bag, packed his, his race gear and things like that. And so we said our goodbyes on the phone. I told him I loved him, and he told me that he loved me too. And I said, love you more. And he said, most, most. And then we hung up the phone. Yes, I don't know how to do banners, but I feel like I should probably. Okay. Yeah, I think I can do it like this. Um, is that scrolling across the bottom now? I just put trigger warning. Does that sound okay? Did it go? Okay, there we go. Can everybody see that? Is that okay? Because I definitely don't want to trigger anybody that's grieving. Emergency, can you see that scrolling on the bottom?
I can.
Okay. All right, good deal. So we hung up the phone. I had no idea that was going to be the last time I talked to him. So the last thing that Kylie's parents said to her that she said to them is forever going to cross their mind. They're going to think about it every day for the rest of their lives, at least a dozen times. Um, so Cody went across he went across a little roadway and he started going up the driveway on a little tiny pit bike. So Cody raced 250s and 450s, but he also had little pit bikes for getting around the track. If I had to go from one side of the track to the other, I could ride the pit bike. So a little 50 or 65cc pit bike. There was also an 85cc pit bike. So he was going up the driveway. His friend was coming down the driveway. And for whatever reason, the music in the truck, um, Cody not really paying attention, an accident happened. Cody jerked the bars to one side and he flipped over the handlebars and he landed on the pavement of the driveway just underneath of the door of the truck. The front wheels of that truck went right over his chest. He was ran over by a truck. And in that, he got stuck underneath of the wheel and he was dragged about 2 feet before the tire went over the rest of his chest. It was a complete accident. There was no ill intention. Neither of them. They were both just being careless kids, having fun, enjoying their night. But he was ran over by a truck. Um, at the moment that his best friend realized what had happened, he had gotten out of the truck and he came running to check on Cody. At the same time that this happened, his best friend's parents had pulled into the driveway also to check to see if they needed food or anything. Somehow, some way, Cody was able to stand up. His his best friend's parents had saw the tail end of the accident. Um, so when he stood up, they were kind of confused. His pants were kind of slid down one side. He was pulling his pants up, and he was disoriented and kind of wobbling around. And all at once, he fell off to the right side, and he rolled down a little ravine into a little wooded section, and he wasn't able to get back up from that point. His best friend's mom, I'm going to call her D, I don't want to say her name, ran to him very quickly, and she she's a nurse. She realized right away that something was very wrong. Her husband had already called 911 to report that they needed EMS. Cody was laying on the ground, and she sat down next to him, Indian style, and put his head in her lap. And he looked up at her and said he thought he was going to vomit. And him being a jokester and thinking that he's bigger than the world and tougher than the world, didn't know exactly how bad his injuries were. So he tried to turn his head to the side, and she said, if you have to vomit, go ahead and go ahead and puke. And when he turned his head to the side, blood started coming up. And that's when he realized that he was pretty injured. And he said back to her, I think I really messed up this time. She was saying to him, the squad's coming. They called 911. Just hang in there, hang in there. And it didn't take but a couple of minutes before he couldn't move his arms or his legs. And he was cold and he was shivering. He was kind of going in and out of consciousness. And she tells me this story um, the day after. And she said that when he was laying at her head and his head was in her lap and his color had started to drain and he couldn't move his arms or his legs and his breathing became a little difficult, that he thought she was me, and he was calling her mom. Now, when Cody was a very little boy and he would get hurt or he would get sick or he would get scared, he would always come running or he would yell for me and I would run to him, and we would sit the same way. I would put his little head in my lap and comb the top of his head, and he would tell me why he was scared or what, his belly hurt or something like that. And he would say, let's sing our song, Mom. Let's sing our song. And we would sing Jesus Loves Me. And that was kind of from childhood on, if he wasn't okay, that was kind of the song that we would sing to each other, Jesus loves me. And so when he's laying in the ground and her head, or his head is in her lap, and he starts calling her mom, she didn't correct him because she knew that his injuries were that bad. So he said, the last thing that he said to her, he said, I love you, Mama. And then he started singing, Jesus loves me. And he said to her, aren't you going to sing with me? And she said, yeah. And she started singing with him. And then he died. And to this day, that song rips her in half as much as it does me. Let me show you the place where he died. This is a video that she took shortly after that. Oh, I didn't load the video, I loaded the photo. So this is the location. And I don't know if you can see my mouse or not, but right through here is where he laid. And when I look at this photo in this picture, I don't see my son laying there passed away. I see how calm it is and how pretty it is. And I see that this is where he took his last breath. But I don't see violence or ugly. I don't have any kind of conflicted negativity and ugly. Because this is also a place that he loved. So in reference to Kylie's family, immediately after Cody's accident, when I got a phone call and told to go to the hospital, I'm assuming that he broke another bone because that was irregular for him. I have no idea that I'm walking in to see him laying dead on a table with, you know, an ET tube hanging out of him and wires and cables everywhere. I'm not prepared for that. But that's what I see. And I'm so glad that the nursing staff at this hospital was as amazing as what they are, because there's nothing that makes that moment more painful. I mean, there's nothing. I remember hitting my knees and losing my shit. I remember screaming to the entire room to fix him because it's not supposed to end like this. I remember moving things out of my way. I remember holding his head and begging him to just wake up. I begged. Nothing. They had done what they could do. Thank God the nursing staff was so amazing. Pulled me into another room. They told me what his injuries were. They showed me an x-ray. And they handed me a vial with his last heartbeat. And the nurse said, you gave him his first heartbeat. You should have his last. It's one of my most cherished possessions. It's his heartbeat in a little vial tube. But I went back into the room with him. and I'm looking at his body. They Everything, his tubes and everything are still intact. And I still don't realize, I still haven't accepted that he's dead. He's gone. He's not ever going to wake up again. I laid on his chest. I tried to hear a heartbeat. The only part of his body that was still warm was his chest. Cody had an aortic abdominal aneurysm and basically bled out into his chest. I stayed with him for hours until organ donation came and they wheeled him away. We walked down the hallway with him, and all the people were there. And we got to the end of the door, and they took him. They took him. I had to turn around and walk back through the hospital and walk out another door and get in my car by myself. And I had to go. I had to go somewhere. I had to go home. I had to go to a funeral home. I had to go, but I had to go without him. I got home. Friends of mine um, started piling in, and one by one, my house filled up with people. Like, that's what happens whenever somebody dies. People show up and they bring food and they bring photos and they bring voices and they bring noise and they bring clothes and, shower items. And we're so thankful for them. And the next day, I had to go to a funeral home, and I had to walk into a room that it had caskets everywhere, and I had to pick a casket for my son. Kylie's parents are going to have to do the same thing. Kylie's parents are going to have to go to a room that's lined with caskets, and they're going to talk about what's on the inside of those caskets and how much batting is inside of there and how soft the satin is. And they're going to flip the lid up and they're going to show that it goes all the way through to the bottom. They're going to show the decoration that's on the inside. And Kylie's parents also are going to have to look at those caskets and decide which casket to put their daughter in, because that's the last loving gesture that they have. I had to walk around a room and look at caskets for my son. And they have to do that for their daughter. And then you have to choose funeral cards and the wording, and you have to write an obituary, and you have to call in people that are out of state. You have to make room in your home for the people that are going to come there. You have to choose flowers to go on top of a casket. All of these decisions, and you didn't know that morning that this is how your evening was going to end, and this is how your tomorrow was going to be, and this is how the next day is going to be. But nobody had a choice. Nobody called me. Nobody called Kylie's mom and dad. But you never forget. I'll never forget a moment of it. I'll never forget the smell of that room. I'll never forget the hug that the funeral home director and his wife gave me. So when I'm watching this video that Adventures with Purpose puts out, when it gets to the part where they go underwater and they go to the car, my heart almost fell out of my chest. I don't think Adventures with People with Purpose are bad people. I think they're good people. And I don't think that Adventures with Purpose has ill intent or nefarious motives. I don't think that they're out there trying to make millions of dollars. But I do think that there's a point when they cross boundaries. And I think that they did that with Kylie's, with this video. When Adventures with Purpose had the decision to go to recover Kylie or not, as soon as they made that decision, it was all over YouTube, it was all over Facebook, it was all over Instagram, it was everywhere. And their numbers rose. They had subscribers. People were so thankful. I'm so thankful that they went. I'm so thankful that they went and that they looked for her and that they found her. And I don't discredit them for 1 second. There's nothing in the world that I would say to discredit Adventures with Purpose. I don't know the amount of courage it takes to go underwater and look for a deceased body, let alone a 16-year-old little girl. I have no idea the amount of courage that it takes to then come to the top of the water with the license plate number, and they know that it's a match. They're the first people to know that she is deceased. But what I do know is every time an ambulance goes by and its lights and sirens are going, my stomach drops. Every time I see a little blue fender of a dirt bike, my mind goes back to the pit bike that Cody was on. Every single time somebody says pit bike or truck, I hurt. I was watching a live stream just a few days ago, and I thoroughly enjoyed the live stream. There were 6 or 7 people that were on panel, and they all had come together for the sole purpose of calling out some crap. And I was absolutely enjoying the live stream. And there came a point in this live stream where they started talking about um, a guy, what are they called? Uh, Crap. Back in the 60s and 70s, um, the big concerts, they called them the hippie concerts. Um, what are they called? Uh, they called it like the hippie fest.
Are
I
you
can't
talking about like
remember.
Woodstock?
Yes, thank you so much.
No problem.
The panel, somebody started talking about Woodstock and that there was a man that had been ran over by a truck. And nobody on that panel has any idea who my son is or that he's deceased or how. There was no ill intent. Don't take this the wrong way. I don't think I'm somebody special sitting in the chat, that should be people should know these things. That's not at all what I'm saying. But out of nowhere, a conversation and my gut fell. I started sweating, my armpits started sweating, and I felt hot in the face, and I had to pause and take my earbuds out and sit up because I still can't hear things like that without having a physical reaction. I have a physical reaction to my son died like that. And I felt guilty for reacting like that because nobody was talking about Cody. Nobody was talking about Cody. Why did I react like that? But it's part of grieving and it's part of the trauma and it's part of getting through it and leaning into it. So I took my earbuds out and I waited about 5 or 10 minutes and then I fast forwarded and then I put my earbuds back in and it was okay. And I'm not saying this for any reason other than imagine Kylie's parents. So there's a video of her car underwater, reading off the license plate, coming to the surface and repeating the license plate number, the bubbles, seeing the bubbles from the diver that's underwater. All of these things are going to be triggers for her parents and her family and those that love and care about her and that personally know her. They're all going to be triggers. Every time her parents are in a movie theater, at home, watching their TV, watching YouTube, they see a commercial, anything that has bubbles coming through the water, you know where their mind is going to go? To that video. Every time they see people talking about license plate numbers, do you know where their mind is going to go? To that video. These are things that they don't know yet. They do not know yet how these things are going to affect them because they're still in shock. When I walked into the hospital room and I saw my son's dead body laying on the table with tubes and wires and people, everything changed. My whole life changed from that moment. There's forever before and after. Everything has changed. No matter how hard I fight grief, nothing will ever go back to the same way. Nothing will be what it was the day before. Now let me tell you, Cody's dad and I have not been together for a very long time. If my son had been located underwater in a vehicle, God help him, God help me. I can't imagine having to live through that. But if a group showed up to town and they're going to locate my son, I'm expecting them to be a professional group. I'm expecting them to work and act like professionals. That means I don't care who called you. I don't care who called and asked you to come, and I don't care if the police said yes, help or not. What I care about is that you have come to his father and myself, or you have talked to on the phone his dad and myself, and you have our contact numbers, mine and his, because it's your responsibility to contact me and to contact him to say that you found our son, unless law enforcement takes that responsibility. I understand because I've watched AWP's videos. When they come up from the surface and they know that they have the body and that they have the vehicle, law enforcement takes over the scene. I understand that. But if you show up and you put your face all over my child's missing case, if you're using my child to market yourself by saying we are going to take over looking for Kylie Rodney, I'm appreciative and I'm thankful for anybody who's going to come and look for my child. Anybody. I don't care if you have 2 million, 10 million, or 200 subscribers on the YouTube channel. I'm thankful for you. But you have a responsibility to Kylie's family, not to your subscriber list or your membership. You don't have a responsibility to people who are providing the income to your platform. Don't mistake my words. You should have 1.5 million times 10 subscribers because you are doing great work. At the same point, I think you're doing great work because of the integrity that you have and the morals that you bring with you, which means if my ex and I are not together, you're going to contact both of us, or law enforcement is going to contact both of us. And then I'm going to hear from you because I want to shake your hand and I want to hug you and I want to thank you and I want to feed you and I want to hold on to you for however long I can because you're the person that first saw her in death. I love the person who saw my son moments before he died. She will forever be important to me. I think of her every day the same as I think of my son every day. And I can only think that if my son were Kylie or in a similar situation, the person who found her would be so important to me. I couldn't get my hands around your neck fast enough because you've done something that no one else could have done for me, and you found my child. I don't know if the intention, see, there's PIs out here, and there's all these other people that you can independently and privately hire. Cold cases, police don't really want to get involved. They've done their work. If you hire a PI, police may not like it, but they can't tell you not to. Kylie's case was not a cold case. Kylie's case was 2.5, 3 weeks in. And while all of YouTube, all of these people going down conspiracy alley and ripping every ounce of dignity of her life and who she was and what she did, and if she drank, if she didn't drink, if she did drugs, if she didn't do drugs, it doesn't matter because Kylie's a child, 16-year-old child. Her parents don't want to hear people labeling her as a drug addict or an alcoholic or a partier or any of those things. For the love of God, this is their child. Now they have left her memory and you're dishonoring her memory. You're going to run her entire family off of YouTube and every other social media platform. All of them. I had newspaper reporters, I had local TV stations, I had motocross affiliated programs and magazines that contacted me and that wanted to ask all the intimate details, all of the questions. Let me tell you something. They don't care about how much my son loved sour food. They don't care about how much the smell of a two-stroke engine would have been his favorite cologne if they would have made cologne like that. They don't care about how long his afro would have grown if he didn't cut it. They don't care about two different helmet sizes because he had an afro and then he cut it. They don't care about his girlfriend's name. They don't give two shits about his favorite restaurant being Applebee's. They don't care about the gold necklace or the chain with the gold cross that he wore on his neck all the time. They don't care that he had crashed so many times. One of his collarbones stuck out an inch and could never be fixed. They don't care that Chillytown Motocross was his favorite motocross track. They don't give a shit that his hugs were the best hugs in the world. They don't give two shits that he loved to sneak in my room and grab my big toe and to shake it and say, Mom, Mom, just to talk for an hour about nothing. But I loved those moments. See, these people don't care about Kylie and who Kylie was, who Kylie's parents are. They care about the same thing that the people that contacted me cared about because my son was a professional athlete. They want the gory details. They want to know. They want to know about the truck. They want to know about the truck wheel. They want to know about his actual injuries. They want to know what was he doing, what was he not doing. They want to know all of the gory, intimate details that are none of their business. And they don't want to know because they care. They want to know because they want to be the first person to put it out. They want to be accredited for getting the story. That's what they want to know. But tell me, how does that change that my son is gone? And how does that change that Kylie is gone? While the whole rest of the world is fighting and speculating and slandering and creating these wild speculative theories, Kylie's parents are choosing they're choosing a casket to hold her body. They're choosing a the perfect location for burial. Or maybe they're choosing, the best place as the most loving care for cremation. They're making these decisions. They're in shock. They don't They're people pleasing. People show up and they move you in the positions that you're supposed to be, and they hand you tissues and they hand you water and they hand you crackers because you're checked out. I sat I stood in a funeral home from 8:30 in the morning until after midnight, right around midnight or after, because so many people showed up to say goodbye to Cody or to see him. And if they were going to stand in that line for 2.5, 3 hours just to come through a sweaty, hot funeral home full of people, I was going to stand there and hug their neck and shake their hand and thank them because he was that important to them. I wasn't going to move. And I was numb. I still remember every detail, and it doesn't sound like it was that. When I think back, it doesn't seem like it was that long of a day, but it was. It was that long of a day. and you're people pleasing. You're so thankful that these people care about your child. I was so thankful that people flew from other states. I was so happy that his race team showed up to pallbearer for him. I was so happy that we had his bikes cleaned up and could take him to the cemetery. I was so ecstatically happy. I did not know that when all of these people leave and the world starts turning for them and it's not turning for me, I don't know what to do. I'm numb. Kylie's parents are numb. They don't understand because they haven't accepted, because they haven't handled, they haven't dealt with. They're still making decisions for the love of God. They're still making decisions. See, you have a celebration of life right after because it makes the moment last longer from the time Cody passed away to the time that we left the cemetery. I dreaded leaving the cemetery because that meant it was real and it happened. That meant I could not see him again. When his casket was open, I could walk up and I could touch his face and I could kiss him and I could tell him how much I loved him. I could pull my little makeup brush out and fix his face for the bruising. I could sit with him. I could spray his cologne on him and I could smell him. But the minute they closed it, the minute it was over. It was done. Kylie's parents deserve the respect and the dignity of having people stop and think. What you're saying today is forever on the internet. So you might move on to the next case or the next day, but they're always going to hear what you're saying about their daughter. You might think that you're not saying anything bad, but when you compare her death and the video that's put behind a paywall to a football game, to the Super Bowl, do you know what her parents hear? It's a marketing strategy off of their daughter's death. When you make comments about they deserve that money, you're right. They deserve to be paid for what they do, but at the expense of a video that holds the final moments of that little girl's life, the final moments of my son before he left this earth, were of him laying in that little wooded area with his head in the lap of his best friend's mom, calling her mom and singing a song. Those are his last moments on this earth. And I thank God that they were not videotaped or photoed, because my relationship with my son is so special. There's so many memories of just he and I that I'll never share to the world. I'll never share them, because if I share them to the world, I give them out. Everybody has what I have. That makes my relationship and me as his mom not special anymore. The last moments of his life are not videoed and they're not photographed. And two people have every intimate detail that are still left on this earth, and that's his best friend's mom and me. She shared every detail with me. And I'll never share all of the details of what happened that day because I'm his mom. That's my business. Kylie, the last moments of her life were inside of that vehicle. Whether there's nefarious things that happen, whether there's intentional or non-intentional, that's up to the police to decide. But the last moments of that little girl's life are in that car that went into the water. And that video footage should have been reserved for her parents and her immediate family. And it should have been up to them to share of that, what they wanted to share or what they wanted to hold to themselves. It's not everybody else's right to know all the little details of every little incident that happens. The sense of entitlement to the knowledge and to the information is so over the line for me. You've taken something that is the most personal part of this child's life, other than her birth, and you've blasted it all over the freaking internet for everybody else to zoom into and speculate wild theories and Photoshop or not Photoshop. Everybody has seen it.
And that
The
decision
vi-
to show that decision to show any of that footage to anybody should have absolutely been relied on to the parents, and that question to them should not have been asked in the first week, 2 weeks, month,
Absolutely.
year of after her passing, because it's
Absolutely.
too soon to ask them. They do not know how to process properly at that point. They haven't even
Absolutely.
gone through the first stage of grief, much less the acceptance part of her passing. It's just too soon to
Yeah,
ask.
you know why they don't come around and they don't hand out the organ donation information immediately. They wait a while. You won't you'll get a certificate from Life Bank that'll say, thank you for the, you know, we're sorry for your loss and thank you for considering donation and whatnot. But they don't send the certificates, the just the itemized list. They don't send that stuff, all of the intimate details for several weeks because they know that you're in shock and you can't make the decision. You can't make an informed decision because you're still in shock. And they've taken everything away from the parents and fed it to the wolves. Eden, welcome, Eden. Sorry if I got
Hi,
long winded.
can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hi. Um, yeah, I'm finding all of this really hard, quite triggering because last year, just about Christmas time, we lost a student that I teach pupil. He was only 14, um, and he took his own life. But he was an actor, and so the media just kind of clinged on to it and made stories about it, and like teaching his little brother and seeing what he went through with the different stories every day in the media about what had happened. Um, Seeing his parents going through it, it was horrific. It was horrible. They just made stuff up to sell papers. The papers in the UK are a little bit different. I mean, um, they get away with a lot more, um, but they just sense like it was just sensationalism, basically, to sell papers, and they just made stuff up about this little boy, this poor little boy who had ended his life, just making up theories about why he'd done it, and his poor parents had to live through all of this. Um, And still to this day, the pupils and students, his classmates, we are still trying to support them, and help them through it. They've never got over it because there was just so much fake news put out, and they were obviously traumatized anyway about losing a classmate, a friend. It was such a personal thing, and it was just publicised and put all over the national papers. And sadly, a few months ago, his mum couldn't take it and she ended her own life as well.
No, no,
And
I'm
I
so
just don't
sorry.
think people understand the impact it has on people's lives. And I keep seeing people posting comments that it's helping the case, it's putting information. It's not information. It's not information. It's just feeding. I don't know, but I don't understand it because I don't understand how people want to see the things that were put out today, or want to know private information. I don't understand what people are getting from that at all. I don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't either, but when I heard people talking about, they found her, everybody knows they're going to make a video, and they were saying they're the ones that found her. They do this with everyone. They do this with everyone. They put it behind a paywall. I understand that. I understand they put it behind a paywall. But to what your question is, this is how I felt when the newspapers and the sports reporters and whatnot were contacting me. I felt like they were bloodthirsty. All they wanted was the details. They knew that he had passed. They knew, part of why, a little bit of about why, but they wanted intimate details. And I knew that it was for one thing. They wanted to be the first one to post it. It was like, so what I did was I sent an email and said, ask me what questions you want to ask me, and then I'll send you my replies. But that wasn't good enough. And that confirmed to me that these people don't care about the information. They want the story. It wasn't about the mom answering the questions and sending them for them to report or to put in their magazine. They wanted the video. They wanted the emotion. They wanted the parts of him or the parts that were left of him that are not their business. And I think the reason that some of these people go so hard is because they want the story that nobody else has, because it's going to get them the publicity or the contract or the subscribers or the members. And when you get it in a video and you put it behind a paywall, that's exactly what you get. You get the membership because people want to view the video. They want to see the gory details, and then they want to go and tell everyone about them. Like, they want that special, I've got the scoop, let me share it with you. And I am so happy that Adventures with Purpose is capable of doing what they do. I have no idea the amount of courage, but I have all the respect in the world for what they do until it gets to the point that somebody's child becomes marketing material when you don't need they it's my belief that they would have had the same amount of people subscribe and take membership. They would have had the exact same amount of people wanting to talk to them and wanting them on their panel had they have done the video without putting those details, those intimate parental only information details, or if they would have not posted the video for another week or 2 weeks or until the family had time to process it. At that point, it would have been a little bit different, but they had just as many people talking about them, just as many people subscribing to them. Everybody was promoting their membership program. Everybody was talking about donate to them. And that would have continued even if they did not put the information out there, meaning the video. If they would have never put the video, they still would have had all of the people to their channel flocking to their memberships if they whether they put the video or not. So it's my opinion that the video was just an extra marketing strategy to assure that people, because didn't they lower the membership from $6.99 to $3 or $4.99 after the video had come out?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know
See
that
what I
one.
mean?
No.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah, they did. They lowered the
did?
price to get as
Oh my
many
goodness.
subs as they could.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
raised it up to $6.99, like right before they put the video out, and then after it had been out, then they lowered their membership again from $6.99 to 3 or something.
No, they didn't.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
I heard people saying that they paid $6.99 for the video to become membership so they could watch the video. And then today, it's been said on two different channels from two different people that now they can get it at a reduced price. So they've
Mhm.
lowered the price. So that tells me you can't say that it's not a marketing strategy or a marketing ploy when you increase and lower and then decrease based on when you put it out and when you make it for public. And to me, the I respect them, but not nearly as much. And like Tiffany said, if they would have said out of respect for the family, we're going to wait until all details are out that Ellie has approved and her family has had time to adjust at this difficult time. Exactly. Exactly. And like Tiffany yesterday, I know what you meant when you were talking about Adventures with Purpose, putting it behind a paywall. And I couldn't agree more. You never said that they're shitty people or that they don't deserve to make money. That never come out of your mouth. In fact,
No.
you said they deserve to make money because what they're doing, you don't find people doing. They're doing God's work. That's exactly what you said. But yes, when they put it behind a paywall and they take the intimate details that should never be, I mean, imagine, like Tiffany said, imagine that to your child in the car. Imagine that's your child that's in the car. And there should not be a question about how the family was contacted. There's the only reason that that is out there and people are discussing it, talking about it, has to be because something wasn't done correctly. Because,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? How many
Yeah.
other times do we see a child or a kid is missing and then they're found and then mom and dad are like, well, nobody told me. Nobody told me that something had to have gone wrong. And it's my opinion, I'll say it again. If you're the professional that you say you are, and you're coming to look for a body in a vehicle under the water, I don't care who called you. You are tasked with having the contact information of both parents. And when you have all of the popularity that comes with you and it's in the newspapers, you can't say that there's a media cloud around one of the parents and you can't get to them. That's not a legitimate excuse for why you couldn't say to law enforcement, can we get the mom's number too? Or you send a
Yeah.
Facebook message, hey, can I get your contact number in case we need to get in touch with you? I'm just not okay with coming up with excuses like that. Like, this is the mom and the dad of a little girl that for the rest
Well,
of their life, your video is out there.
well,
Yeah.
here's the thing. If they knew, and they showed this in the video, if they knew to go dark so nobody could, and turn off all their phones, and they knew to go dark from that moment, to not make a stir, to get in their RV, to move it so they could dive on the car, then they knew to keep quiet until they contacted everybody. They knew
Hmm.
that at that point. There was no need to go anywhere to say anything to anybody except for the parents, both parents, and to law enforcement at that point. There was no need to contact an alternative family member. There was no need to contact alternative law enforcement. They knew exactly who to contact. They knew exactly what parents to call. I mean, she only has two. They knew exactly who to contact. And that is a
Absolutely.
professional. That's professional handling professional business. It isn't for YouTube. It isn't for any other reason but to be a professional. And I have always thought AWP has been professional. I've I've watched them, I've supported them, I've I've everything then. And
Hmm.
that is, there's no excuse. There's not an excuse in this world that it will suffice for not being the utmost professional in this, in any case. You cannot do it. You cannot have no integrity and honorability in what you're doing and continue to do what you're doing. It's
Absolutely.
unacceptable. It's, you cannot do it, and not expect to be called out for it. Because
Oh, yeah.
if you continue to do that and not get called out for it, then you lose all credibility. So you have to say, okay, we did this. we apologize, and the behavior stops instantaneously. Because it's okay to be fallible as a human. It's okay. It's okay to be fallible as a business. It's okay to be fallible. But to not take acceptance and responsibility by objectifying a child and exploiting a child, or any case that you get, is unacceptable behavior, and it should not and will not be tolerated ever.
Absolutely.
Period.
I want to show something else too that I found when it came to if they accept rewards or not. Let me be the first to say, if there's a reward offered and they find the person, they absolutely should get that reward. I think if they go and they do the work, they should get the reward. But with all of this talk about the reward this and the reward that, I want to show you what I found. Can everybody see this screen?
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay. So I want to show you down here in the comments section. I hope everybody can see me scrolling. Case details. Wait a minute, where did it go? I went too far. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. Sorry, guys, hold on a second. It's not that one. I apologize for that. Let me get the right one here. I'm sorry about that. I clicked on the wrong one. I mean, I think that they should get, any reward that's offered to anybody that finds a missing person. But whenever, we see them going on and on about whether they accept a reward or not, I just want people to see this. Okay, now let me share the screen. Sorry about that. I'm still kind of learning. Okay. So this was 7-year-old missing person case, Ethan Kazmierzak. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. I don't intend any disrespect by saying the name wrong. 22 years old, was found in his car underwater. 7-year-old missing person case in Hampton, Iowa. Okay. I'm not going to play it because I don't want a copyright strike or anything. But there's a section dedicated. Right here. Where's the $100,000 reward? We would be honored to accept the $100,000 reward so we can further our efforts in helping other families like Ethan's. However, the $100,000 reward, which has been renewed annually every September at the anniversary of Ethan missing and extended yearly beyond its original 2015 effective date, is suddenly no longer available from the anonymous donors, claiming the reward expired in 2015, even though it has been confirmed by multiple news stations as late as September 2020 that the reward was still in effect. In full transparency, Ethan's family was kind in making a smaller donation of their own. We appreciate their gratitude for our efforts in bringing Ethan home. Donations and rewards are how we are able to fund our operations in helping families such as Ethan's. Donations and rewards are how we are able to fund our operations in helping families such as Ethan's. We do hope that those donors involved honor their commitment so that we can use the $100,000 reward to purchase additional gear and continue our efforts in helping other families in locating their lost loved ones. Okay, again, let me say that if there is a reward offered and Adventures with Purpose shows up and they find the person, they absolutely should be given that reward. But today, to hear people arguing and fighting about whether they accept rewards or they don't accept rewards. I saw one content creator that posted a clip or whatnot, like a section of a previous live stream, and the title said, "This is why Adventures with Purpose does not accept rewards." And I listened to that entire you know, 30-minute video twice. And at no point does the representative, Jared, no, at no point does he say that they do not accept rewards. They never say that. He says we don't do the work because we want the reward. You know, he's not showing up because there's a reward, and I don't think that either. But they do, if there's a reward, you know, they're they're happy to take it. And I think that they should, don't get me wrong. If there's a reward and they do the work, they should get it. But today, all of a sudden, they don't take rewards. They should take the reward. Nobody should back out from their reward because Adventures with Purpose shows up. I hope that makes sense because I don't want to sound bitter about the reward. I just want honesty about the reward.
No, I think I agree.
Yeah. Yes, YouTube dumpster firefighter says that's a huge problem is subs giving incorrect information because they have never said they don't accept them, but they only have collected one. I mean, if you Google them on YouTube, or not YouTube, if you Google them, you'll see that there was almost a lawsuit. I don't know if they went through with it or not, but they didn't have to release that video the day before her birthday, and they didn't have to show the body in the car. Absolutely, absolutely. If the video would have been, them driving there, if it would have been every single thing that they had in the video, including maybe in the boat, you know, but at the point that they show underwater in the car, we don't have to see the body to know that her body is in there. And then imagine this, guys. Imagine that that's your child, and you know, the position of the body and the position of drive, neutral, whatever it might be, if the wheels turned, if they didn't turn. Can you imagine if it's still a pending investigation, if it's still an open investigation and they're still investigating it, and all of a sudden the people, the heroes that showed up and that found her are now on YouTube panels saying that to them it looked like there was, you know, possible, not an accident or something like that, before law enforcement has finished their investigation. I
That's
mean,
so out of
they could have
scope.
they could have
That's
put
so
that
out of
out
their
there,
scope.
and the person, if there is other involvement, they just gave somebody a head start, on covering their tracks or getting the hell out of Dodge. And
Yeah.
these parents are in shock, they're making decisions that you don't have a lot of time to think about. You don't have a lot of time to think about funeral services. You don't have a lot of time. They're focused on that. They don't even know what's going on YouTube right now, but they will. They will when they get home and their world starts spinning a little bit. They will know because they're going to go back and watch everything. And they're going to see what everybody was saying, and that's when anger is going to hit. Justifiable anger, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's not like they can't cut that, because they've done videos before where the diver's gone down and they don't show the car. They've done that
Right.
before. They've divers gone down and they haven't showed the dive. They've just like done the audio of the dive. They could have done that. There's so many ways that they could have done it differently. For
Hmm.
integrity of Kylie, her family, the investigation. There's so many ways that they could have done it better, and they've done it better in the past. So it's not like they don't have the opportunity to do it. They don't. It's not like they've never done it in the past. It's not like there isn't. It's not like, again. It's not like they haven't done it. You know, and
Hmm.
maybe with those cases, they did have more of a conversation with family of what their wishes were, or those kinds of things. I don't know. I don't know where the disconnect is, between AWP with this situation and past situations, or whatever it is. It just doesn't feel right. It doesn't have that, the heart that empathy. It doesn't have, it doesn't, it just doesn't feel right. It feels icky. And to have the part where when the diver comes up out of the water and he says, you know, you could have showed his emotion. You could have all of that, but you didn't have to say it. You could have edited out the part where he said, you know, it feels foul, you know, foul play to me. You could have edited that part out. You didn't have to put that in. You know, you guys, they
Yeah.
and these do, they didn't have to go on a tour of panels. They've never done that before. They've made statements to, um, you know, news before, but they've never gone on a panel tour. They've never done that before. It's all just, it all just doesn't feel right. And there's just like, there's no collaboration between the family. There's no collaboration between law enforcement. There's just no collaboration. And it just, this is something they've never, you know, and they've never done it before. And I do not understand it. It comes off wrong. And it just, they, I don't understand. I just don't,
Yeah.
you know, I don't
I see a
understand
lot of,
it.
I don't either. I, I, I don't know what happened, but to me it seems like let's hurry up and let everybody know what we've done. And I think what they've done is amazing, but I think that it crossed the line into marketing their company or their brand off of this one case, which, which was an active, ongoing case that was all over the media. I mean, everybody all across the country was talking about it. Um, I see a lot of comments about calling, if calling the parents and not calling the parents. And I'm not sure who Evil Twin is, but you can go somewhere else with all of that negativity and stuff. I'm not trying to be your friend. And if you think I give women a bad name, well, I apologize. But in words from a great, strong woman, you can go fuck yourself and fuck out of here with that bullshit. I said we were going to have open, civil conversation, and apparently you can't do that. Um, so when I was talking earlier about if both parents were called, I mean, there's some people that are saying mother was not called. There's some people that are saying mother was called. My opinion on that is this. If you're the professional people who have told the whole, world that you're on your way to help with, with my child's, the case of my missing child, excuse me, and you show up, I'm expecting that you're professional enough to have my son's dad's number and my number. That, I mean, law enforcement is going to give it to you. You can contact me through, Facebook, through knocking on my door. I mean, these people are going to have more information than what the average person is going to have. They obviously know where to go and all of that kind of stuff. So what I mean is, if you find the body of a deceased child, it is your responsibility. You are tasked with notifying the family. So if you know mom and dad are not together, clearly dad and grandpa were on the beach. And so, you tell them, or whoever told them. I'm saying it's a cop out to say that mom is surrounded by the media and so they couldn't get to her. To me, that's a cop out. That's like, now you're using that as an excuse. I'm saying you're tasked with professionally handling the situation, meaning, you're going to call mom and you're going to call dad, or you're going to go to mom and you're going to go to dad. Now, how many videos have we watched where Ventures with Purpose finds the body and then law enforcement shows up and they're kind of, offering to assist law enforcement. But in every video, family members are there. They're with the family at the scene where they're doing the work. So if mom's not there, you should have her phone number and you should call her and you should say, are you coming down here? Are you on your way down? Or you should say, I want to tell you what we found, something along those lines. But I think it's a cop out to say, but she's surrounded by the media and they couldn't get to her. That sounds like a bullshit excuse to me. You took on the challenge of finding her mom, or of finding this mother and this father's daughter, and you did that. And you are a hero for doing that. You are an amazing human being for doing that. You are absolutely doing God's work, and you deserve all of the respect that comes with that. But you can't drop the ball then when it comes to notifying the family members and being the support system that you claim that you are for them, when mom is saying she found out from, a waitress at a sushi restaurant, or that nobody contacted her in general, or the other family members. Now, are they tasked with calling every person? No, not every person in the family, but the mom and the dad should have been respected enough to have been contacted. And if dad and grandpa said they called mom, Jared is tasked with a follow-up call, because you found her baby. You are the first person to lay eyes on her after she's deceased. I have questions. I want to hug your neck. I want to hold your hand. I want to feed you. I want to tell you how much I love you for what you have just done for me. You brought my baby home. You are tasked with giving me the opportunity to say how much I love what you've done and how much I appreciate you. Not only that, but I want to know what you found, and you took that away. You
And if
ran
they
to the
did
media.
call, if they did call, okay, if they did call the mom, if they did call the dad, that's evidence, it's proof. You did it, and it should be in the video. You didn't show that in your video. You
Right.
showed calling two other people, not the mom and not the dad. You didn't show you talking to the mom. You didn't show talking to the dad. You showed talking to two other people. So
Yeah.
if you did it, it would be in your video. You wouldn't edit that part out. If you called
Yeah.
law enforcement, you would show that you calling law enforcement. You didn't show that. You
Right.
showed you calling two people that were not the mother, were not the father, and were not law enforcement.
Yeah.
That's what you
Like
showed. So,
Nanny C has on here, and maybe that's because this is an active investigation. And I thought about that too. And because it's active investigation, then he would have notified law enforcement, and then law enforcement would have notified both mom and dad, because
but they didn't
law
even
enforcement,
show they didn't even show them calling law enforcement. They didn't even show that in the video. They didn't
right,
show them calling law enforcement in the video. So again, it goes back to credibility. Credibility. This is things
right,
that they have done, and every other case that they've done. So why are you not doing it in this scenario? I mean, this goes to your own credibility as creators. It goes back to your integrity as rescue divers. It goes back to your as a rescue team. It goes back to you. You know, you I mean, I I know that you have to record everything that you're doing as a rescue team because it's, CYA, cover your butt. But at the same time, you don't have to show everything that you're recording. You don't have to. And you shouldn't, because some things are just sensitive and everything else. You have to have, you know, respect for what you're doing. So you don't show everything that you have, because some of it's just uh, not appropriate to show to the public. And you have to have discernment for that.
yeah,
But at the same time, you have to cover yourself, you know, um, all the time. CYA, do that, please. Cross your T's,
right,
dot your I's. But at the same time, you know, if there's ever been a question, and obviously it was brought up at the presser with law enforcement, that parents weren't called by AWP. Well, you have the pure opportunity at your on your video to say, no, law enforcement. Not only did we call the parents, we called them, but we also called you. We have video proof of us doing that. We have
yeah,
it. So we're going to put it out in our video.
right.
You didn't.
And,
You
and
they didn't
now
do
that
that.
when you mentioned the press conference, I want to show this again. I want to show this again. Let's look at how law enforcement handled the press conference. because I was extremely disappointed. So let me share this for just a second. Share. Okay. Can everybody see this? Everybody can see this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Morning, I'm Shannon Moon. I'm the
So do you see the family back here behind the press? We got these two people from the press that are standing right in front of the family members.
sheriff of Nevada County, and appreciate
And I
everyone's
just took
response
clips.
in being here today. County, and
So we have someone in the family that stands up here to tell these two people that family are standing behind them.
appreciate everyone's response in being here today to get some more information into our investigation. We have been working with the family and really since the very beginning, trying to make sure that we focus on all of our efforts.
So we have police officers that are trying to do a press conference. I'm sure that they don't want to draw attention to what's happening, but we have the press who's hungry to get the story and the details. And they're standing right smack dab in front of these family members.
And that is for this family. We've said that from day one with our staff.
So every time they say family, everybody looks that way. Here it is. So let's watch this. Watch what the press thought about the family members.
And we're able to help us from our partners in this region. Clearly being a mountain town, we're used to it before, and it was located inside the Foster Lake. It's located within a search zone that we have been searching since the very beginning.
To search Foster, or at least in this
So we get one of them that moves, and then we get
specific area where the car was
to me.
found.
Law enforcement can't really say or do anything because the cameras are rolling. You know what I mean? But the press is just hungry to get the story, get the scoop.
Does anyone from the family want to make any comments at this point, specifically about this massive search and all the tips that came in?
So a reporter just asked, did the family want to say anything? And all of the officers look in this direction.
Don't believe they do at this point. Yeah.
No, I don't believe they want to say anything. I mean, can you imagine that this is your daughter that was just found and you're brought, invited to a press conference where you're possibly going to hear information? No, Eden, this was from the day that they found her, or maybe the day after that, and they did the press conference. I watched it from a couple of different news stations, and this just got to my last nerve. I thought, I couldn't imagine not picking up a chair and throwing it and just saying, like, this is my daughter, this is my child, and I'm here to learn something. I'm here to hear some details. I'm here for something because, we're all here, and I have press standing in front of me, and I can't, I'm a nobody, and it's my daughter that you're talking about, and that's, that's what I wanted to show.
What did the AEW
Was,
Foster County Sheriff's
here's the family all sitting, and I mean, how disrespectful to her family even. And I don't know, I just thought it was important to show that aspect of it too. I mean, for the press, just they want the scoop, they want the story.
Yeah, it's, Eden.
Oh, me too. I hope that they would have spoke to the family before they did that press conference too. And I would imagine that, if law enforcement would have seen that before, the cameras started rolling and they started the press conference, I mean, I would imagine that they would have said something about, can you move, or maybe move the family somewhere else or something. But in every angle that I saw that press conference, I saw those were the only chairs that were sitting, and the rest of the space was open and there were people standing. So I'm not blaming law enforcement on this one at all. I'm not blaming law enforcement. I mean, I feel like for them to have said something in the middle of a press conference would have, made a bigger spectacle. I'm simply saying when it comes to, the news outlets and getting the big story, I mean, they stood right in front of the family. And I watched a lot of people show the press conference, and what I saw was, if I'm sitting in that chair, and they're talking about my daughter being found, and I mean, I would just feel so disrespected. I would feel completely disrespected at that point. But no, Eden, that was from the day that they found her or the next day after they found her. Losing the people we love will never be easy, no matter how. Yeah, it'll never be easy. And again, I'm not saying that Adventures with Purpose are bad people. I don't think that they're bad people at all. I think that they're good people. I think what they do is amazing. I think that making that video, putting all of those details and putting it behind a paywall was not the right thing to do. And I think that the family is going to suffer emotionally greatly because of that. And I hope people think a little different. That's the only reason I wanted to speak tonight, was we're in your chats. There are people like me who have lost a child. There are people who have lost a spouse, people who have lost a sibling, people who have lost a best friend. There's people that are forever grieving. And when people are making videos after videos after videos, some of the things that they're saying are just absolutely over the line. They're completely out of line.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
my opinion.
And I think, I definitely think it's very important that a lot of these creators put themselves in these parents' shoes. And I know that's really uncomfortable for everybody. Because nobody wants to put themselves right there. That's a hard place to be, but
For sure.
it's the reality of it, and you saying, if that's too hard for you to do, to put yourself in these parents' shoes, just imagine that these parents are in your chat. Would you be saying the things that you're saying openly to your audience, with them sitting right there with you? Forget them being in a chat. Would you say it with them in the room with you? Would you say it with them sitting right next to you? Would you say the things that you're saying openly with them right there? Because you wouldn't. You absolutely wouldn't say these things with them sitting there, right there, looking at you face to face. Have compassion, please.
Absolutely.
Take some time and really think about what you're saying before you say it. You're affecting real people's lives, the real outcome of people's lives and their lifelong journey. It's nothing is this important. Nothing that is going on, the speculation, the crap, none of this is that important to ruin someone's memory of their child.
Absolutely.
None of it. Because if you're them, if it's your child, if it's you, what would it cost you?
Exactly.
And I don't mean monetarily. What would it cost you morally in the end?
Absolutely.
If they're saying it to you about your kid, what would it ultimately cost your soul for it? And that's what you're doing to them. And not just Kylie's parents, but every child that you're doing this to. It's morally wrong, ethically wrong. And if you don't get it, take an ethics class. Take one.
Yeah.
Take Ethics
But there's
101.
absolutely. There's a reason why things like I'm not sure exactly what they're called, but when they are um looking over a body before it goes to the funeral home, um they take photos. I mean, if there's an autopsy or not, they take photos. And I wanted photos of all of Cody's tattoos. He had tattoos on his arms, and I wanted those photos. And thankfully, nobody knew, that we had those photos. But after this whole conversation tonight, I can't help but wonder if how many people would ask for autopsy photos and things like that, to be the person that has them. What would they do with them? I mean, that kind of thing. It makes me wonder if there's a limit, if there's a limit to what people want, and what they're willing to put out there. YouTube dumpster firefighter. I saw you and Eden were talking. That press conference that I showed was from a long time ago. It was from like the day that she was found or the day after she was found. And I had just clipped that little part of it because I was shocked at, how the family was kind of put in that corner. Valerie Ventura says, I wanted to see my son, the funeral home, and my two friends wouldn't let me. I knew it was bad, definitely. I'm sorry, Valerie. That has to be extremely difficult to have, been prevented from seeing him. I know there's been times when people are found and, they do the best they can, but they're not, I know the funeral home sometimes will say that um that it's more traumatizing to show than, they prefer a closed casket, and I can't imagine how difficult that has to be. I just really can't. I can't imagine how difficult that would be, but I'm really sorry that you didn't get that last face to face with him. I wish there was something that would make it easier, but I don't know what would be, but I hate that for you, and that's heartbreaking. One black eye. Who is this loser? See, there's assholes everywhere. They just look for places where they can. What makes you guys think society needs your opinions? What makes you think that any of us need your interference? Go find another troll account and we'll keep blocking them. Thank you, YouTube dumpster firefighter. Oh, looks like they're coming in droves tonight. Oh, we know who that is. All the lovely people. I mean, most of the time, this is a topic that nobody wants to, you know, nobody wants to broach. But we've got trolls that actually want to come in here and run their
Have
mouths,
fun. Have fun.
right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know who that is.
Oh yeah.
But
I mean that the wording gives it away immediately.
for sure. But the what do you call it? I have a thing on my browsers, so it'll be tracked. They'll they'll get a nice letter in the mail. But anyway,
I was gonna say
so
something, but I'm gonna keep my mouth shut.
yeah, I mean, I know it's coming. I'm, it is what it is. If they want to show themselves for who they are, that's okay. But I can tell you that the attachment or the browser edition thing that's on there, whenever I get notified of who it is, I'm going to put it out there on blast and show everybody who it is that comes in here to say some dumb stuff. you know, just because they want to be an asshole. It's kind of how I feel about it. But I wanted to talk about that stuff tonight. Like I said, not to be disrespectful or in any way, especially to Adventures with Purpose. I'm very happy that Adventures with Purpose is doing what they're doing, and I think the world of them. I just want them to. I wish that they would maybe see how this one thing that they've done is going to impact Kylie's family, and
Yeah.
maybe think from that perspective, as well as some of the content creators that are doing things like comparing that video to a Super Bowl or other sports events, or I really hope that they see that a little differently. And we're in your chats, if nothing else. I want to say it every single day, and clip channels can clip it all day long. People
Yeah.
are in your chat that are hurting. People are grieving their children, and they're sitting in silence because they're afraid of more rejection. People are living in silence and isolation, and it's a painful life. I mean, it's very painful. And while nobody expects people to know how we feel or to cater to us or anything of that sort, I mean, we stay lurkers for a reason, because we know that we don't fit in. We have to relearn that not everybody is judging us, and not everybody is going to shun us and reject us. But as far as the number of people that are grieving a child or someone that they were not prepared to lose, and I'm talking, you don't know, you don't even think about losing, certain people in your life. It's never a thought, because it's not in the correct order, and it happens without warning. And these people come to true crime because it's relatable to them. Other people's tragedies are not exploited, it's relatable, it's humbling. It makes you realize sometimes that other people go through much worse tragedies. And it helps motivate us to get up off of our butt, to get out of bed and to find some hope in the world. And that's kind of how we find it. We have to find relatable situations and stories, because if not, we're going to lay down and die. And we're in your chats, and we're listening to your words, and we're watching your content, and you're letting us know if we're welcome or if we're not welcome. You're showing us what you think about us and how you feel about our dead children by the way that you talk, the things that you say about them. You're letting us know if we're human, if we're not human. You're saying things. You're calling us um you're calling us sympathy seekers. You're calling us um all kinds of just ridiculous names, and that lets us know where we're welcome and where we're not welcome. And if you could for a minute imagine that if you had a little bit of empathy when it came to stories like this, and you thought about if Kylie's parents were sitting in your chat listening to what you're saying about their daughter and about them, they probably would subscribe, become a member, and become a huge supporter of your channel if they felt that you understood them and their tragedy, and that you were kind of on their side or in their corner, and that you cared about them. But when it's a news story that's going to be exploited and tore apart and monetized, and when it's going to be marketed, their tragedy becomes a marketing ploy and a marketing attempt. Not only are they not going to ever come back to your channel, but chances are they're not going to come back to the platform in general. And I want people to hear that. I want them to see that.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to make that statement really clear that you just made, that
Hmm.
the any person that has gone through anything traumatic that speaks upon that topic doesn't necessarily mean, I mean, trust me, we have the people on YouTube that are out just looking for how do I describe her without saying her? That are looking for that victim. How do I say that? Victim sympathy. Okay, I think we all know who I'm saying without saying it. But don't let one person jade you. Okay, because not everybody's like her. Okay, not everybody's like that one person. Just because you're watching her in action now doesn't mean that every person that comes to YouTube is her. Okay,
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely.
and they're not all looking for sympathy. We're not all looking for that. Some of us are very strong and very independent and very well within ourselves. Okay, we don't need anybody's sympathy. We're not looking for it. We don't have anything that we're asking from anybody. Nothing. Okay, nothing. We've grown and succeeded in our lives without anybody giving us that handout. People have helped us along the way, obviously. And without the help of others, we wouldn't be where we're at now in this world. But not to the detriment of our moral compass, okay? Because we have one. But what I'm saying is, don't judge every book by one cover or one person or anything, okay? And that not only goes for victims and survivors of multiple things, but that also means, AWP and their actions on this case, okay? That doesn't just go for them, that doesn't go for them too. AWP does wonderful things and they've helped so many people. And I'm sure those families are very happy with what they've accomplished in their cases. Okay. And who knows if Kylie's family is or isn't happy currently in what's going on with Kylie's case. Okay. Who knows that? They know that. They haven't said anything openly or publicly. They've had spokespeople for them, but they haven't said that. Okay. Nobody's heard those words from their mouths. You've had so many other people speaking for them. And until they say it publicly out of their own mouths, it's all speculation, it's all hearsay. Okay? So until that, don't take anything as fact driven. Okay? But at the same time, everybody is allowed an opinion on certain things, but don't get so caught up in the drama of it. Stay focused on Kylie. Stay focused on her parents and give them the love and support that they need. And don't take one person and their sympathy grab and apply it to every person that has gone through something. Okay, don't get jaded just because of it. Stay empathetic, stay true, stay humble, stay loved with people because everybody deserves it. And you don't have to like or love or respect everybody, but everybody deserves to be liked, loved, and respected. And if you don't like a person, you can still respect them just for being human. I don't know.
I agree. I agree. I totally agree. Did you just see all that happened in the backstage area?
No.
Private chat. I don't know who that was. Well, the person that got blocked earlier.
Oh, okay. So can
Yeah.
I address that? Can I address
Yeah,
that?
they were back here twice and screen
Um,
recorded both times. The first time they didn't show their face, but the second time they did.
oh, did you get a picture of it?
I sure did. Yeah. I
Perfect.
screen recorded
Okay.
it.
So I just want to address them. And without saying it, I'm going to just address it. Find something that humbles you. Okay. Find something. I want you to um, find something within yourself that humbles you and focus on that for a whole day. Okay. I want you to take a break from whatever's going on YouTube, whatever it is, because it really doesn't matter in the heart of hearts. It doesn't matter. Just find something in your life that humbles you. And then when you get to come back to the YouTube streets, take that humbleness that you found within yourself and apply it to how you talk to people, how you address people, how you um, live on like an everyday surface level. And when you find yourself getting so caught up in like the YouTube drama, go back to that humble space. Go back to it, because nothing that's going on YouTube is so serious that you have to be so caught up in it. I have some really good recommendations for you of places that you can find some humbleness. You can volunteer for disabled children. You can go to a soup kitchen and help the homeless. You can go to domestic violence shelters and volunteer there. You could always go to a hospital and volunteer. You could go to like a retirement community and you can help there. Any of those kinds of things, like do some selfless acts for people for the needy. Do something like that. That'll really put into perspective like real life situations versus, I don't know, YouTube drama stuff. Get out of your own bubble. It'll help you, I promise. I would not lead you astray.
Yeah. Well, I just copy and pasted their messages. And then I left them a little message here in the regular chat, letting them know, come back tomorrow and check out the shorts section for their debut. Because I'm gonna put their little video debut. And then I'll pop it in Discord and make sure that it gets shared around and everybody sees it because, you know, if you're listening there, Lucifer, you weren't able to put your hood over or your shirt up over top of your face quick enough because I clearly got you. And you probably should take glasses off and put sunglasses on or something whenever you want to do something all, all sketchy. You're not that quick. My screen record is pretty quick though. So nice try. But when somebody's trying to troll and be a complete ass, it's always good to warn everybody that, we got a potential predator on the prowl. So we'll share that around and make sure everybody knows. I'm sure that people will recognize you because you seem to be pretty competent in your ability to be an asshole.
Well, then if you're a potential pred, then I'm going to just say stay away from kids, okay? Because we don't need
Absolutely.
we don't need any problems of that nature. So let's keep it above, the age of consent and everything else. So let's keep it above that. But again, let's humble ourselves, okay? Let's just stay there. Let's humble
Yeah. I
ourselves
don't
because
Oh, go. I'm
nothing
sorry.
is
There's
so
your
serious.
Absolutely. And I don't feed into the demands. I'm up for civil conversation, but whenever people start screaming demands and shit at me, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work for me. And you know, I'm pretty much an open book. I show my face on camera. I say my name. People, you know, people know who I am. It's not that big of a deal, you know. But when people hide behind computers and they scream demands, I don't have to entertain that shit, and I won't entertain that shit at all. So whether it's
But
him or one of his
I
crew,
really like this. I really like the CIA comment, you know, because that's really funny. But I will let you know personally, I work on a regular basis with the FBI.
hmm
And I will surely turn that information over to them.
oh yeah, I'll
And we'll
send
have
it to
no
you.
issue. We'll have no issue with that. So I don't work with the CIA. I do work with the
Right,
FBI. So
right.
I'll have no problem sending it over to them, and we can get that all figured out.
Yep. I've um I've sent a lot of stuff to one individual that actually replied back and said, "How long has this been going on?" and asked all the questions. And I sent all of the information, all the websites, all the Facebook pages, all of it. So I was not the first person that had complaints or, you know, concerns. So, empath test. Have a great night. Thanks for stopping in. I appreciate it. Um, I got one video that I want to play on the way out. Um, because I like to end things on kind of a happy note or a positive note. Emergency me, was there anything else that you had that um you wanted to share with everybody?
No, just that I love you so much. Thank you for all you
I
do,
love
and
you too.
you are so on point. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
everything. Your channel is tremendous. It's so helpful. It's taught me so much. You have taught me so much. Um, and you're making me a better person, and you're making all of us a better person. And for that, I'm eternally grateful forever to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that greatly. It does feel
Yeah.
good to have a place where we can go and talk about grief and, you know, hear other people's stories, and that's definitely, it feels good to have that. And I really hope people that come here feel the same way that I do, and you know they're finding healing through sharing, and um, they're coming out of their shell a little bit, and kind of their goal is to get to the unstuck portion. So I'm really hoping that people are feeling that. And as always, I want people to know that I would like to share this platform with anyone who is grieving or a support person for grief. And at any point that anyone wants to talk about their own personal experience or their personal journeys with grief, or the support person, you know, if you're a supportive role and you have your side of grief, that is extremely important for those grieving to hear. If we can all have open conversation and we can change the whole stigma and the dialogue with how grief is handled, if those of us that are grieving can learn from the supports, you know, the supporters, the grief support people, how we can better openly discuss so that you can be better support people, and then the support people can tell us exactly, you know, what they need from us, it will absolutely be a good thing. People will, you know, be able to have open conversation, to be better people for those that we love and care about. So this is always an open platform. Anytime anybody is ready to talk, all you have to do is email me. You can find my email in every description of every video. I will get back with you and we will schedule it. And I think talking and coming out a little bit, you know, and seeing that there's people that love and care about you, care about your grief, and that's really what I want this here to be. So I did find, because I like to end on a positive or a happy note, I found this video in my phone. I've been transferring everything from my phone, which used to be my son's phone number. So I have all a bunch of videos and stuff, and I found this one I'm going to share with you because I think it's absolutely hilarious. Um, My son in the off season, his friends' parents started a new business, and they were some type of filters or something. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but so 5:30 in the morning, he was in the little factory, and they were folding up and packaging and whatnot. And so his mom caught a video and sent it to me and said, "You know how I know this is your kid? Because he doesn't stop moving." So this is just a little video of him. Oh no, is it not going to play? What the heck? Okay, well, I'm going to have to show it to you another way. I'm going
Vilomah,
to
I'm
have to
going to
show it
step
to you.
down, okay?
Okay, thank you so much for
Okay.
coming up. I appreciate it
No,
greatly.
no problem. I love you, hon.
Love you too. Have a great night. Okay, bear with me, guys, because I want to show this video because it cracks me up and it makes me laugh every time I see it and I think about it. I'm just like, oh, that's so my kid. Let's see. Videos. I don't know why it wasn't playing that way. Okay, let me turn this on because I love it and it's hilarious. Oh, one more time just because it's funny. This kid, that's my boy. Oh my gosh, every time I see it, it's just amazing. Just such a funny kid all the time. Love life. Absolutely love life. So I wanted to share that with you guys because I think you always want to be on a positive note. So again, thank you everybody for coming tonight. I know I got a little emotional, but you know what? Sometimes I feel like shared experiences, sometimes, sometimes shared experiences reaches out to other people. Sometimes maybe we have to get a little bit in our feelings and we have to be a little bit vulnerable and exposed. And I'm okay to do that. I'm okay to do that if it means that it changes in a positive way something or somebody else. And if nothing else, if people just understand my whole intent is for people to think about the deceased person's family members and how they have to go on the rest of their lives. And so it's not easy as it is. It's hard. It's not easy. You feel like the whole world's against you. So for Kylie's parents, I don't know them, but I feel connected to them because they lost and I've lost. And maybe that means I'm a little protective of people that have lost because I know the journey and it's not easy. It's hard. So I don't have any intention, and I had no intention of being disrespectful or anything of the sort to Adventures with Purpose or anyone. I just want people to think about the people that are in your chats. We're in your chats. We're in your chats. We're watching your content. We may not speak because we're broken. We may not ever chat. We may never interact with you because we've been shunned. We've been isolated. People don't like grief. They don't like us. We're walking billboards for the worst case scenario of your life. So we understand it's hard to interact with us. It's hard to interact with you. There's an awkwardness all the time. But when you're making this content, can you please just think? You might be covering the story of somebody who's deceased, but can you cover it in a way that you would be okay with knowing that their parents are in your chat, watching and listening everything that you put out? And if you put something out, think of how they're going to feel whenever they hear it and they see what you have to say about the person that they love more than anybody else in this whole world. You're talking about the person that they can't live without, but they have to. I just ask that you treat that with kindness, with respect. You don't have to put yourself in our shoes, but can you imagine that if it was your child, would you appreciate hearing what you've said? Make your money. Everybody on YouTube should make their money. I'm not saying that you shouldn't, but I don't think that you should use the death of someone's child as a marketing as a marketing ploy. It's just not okay with me. But I still respect you. I hope everybody has a great night. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And until the next time.